Hello everyone, I'm Jess and welcome to my channel Buried in Ink. I'm so excited today to show you guys something that I have been having my eye on for a couple of years now and actually got to the point where I did not think I would be able to acquire these, but I finally was able to get all four of my Grail pens. So this collection, some of you might be familiar with, was a collaboration between my favorite pen brand, Sailor, and a Japanese store called Hachimonjiya. Originally, they came out with this collection of four pens a few years ago. I'm not even sure when it was. I didn't learn about it until I think quite a while after they were all sold out. You couldn't find them anywhere, maybe a few on eBay here and there. But they were very, very difficult to find. And these pens are based on the four seasons, like a lot of things are with Japanese stationery and with Sailor in particular. And I am just absolutely in love with these pens. So the reason I was able to finally acquire these is because Hachimonjiya decided to do a restock, a re-release of these pens throughout, I think, the very end of 2024 and throughout 2025. And I was finally able to get them one by one throughout the year as they were released. And two of them are actually a little bit different from the original collection, which is one of the main reasons that I wanted to make this video. When I was looking at these pens and trying to decide if I really needed all four of them, they're very pricey for me personally. So it definitely wasn't a decision I made very lightly to go in and buy the whole collection, even though it was spaced out throughout the year. But I really couldn't find that many in real life photos or videos about these pens. And because I have all four of them now, I figured I would put a video out so that if you're on the fence and want to purchase one or more of these pens, you can kind of see what they look like together compared to the old collection. So two of these are very, very similar. I don't even think this one had any changes. So this is Kubozakura, and I believe this was the spring pen of the collection. And it's a very pale, milky pink, absolutely stunning. I love this color. Just slightly transparent with rose gold hardware and kind of a slightly brighter pink finials, that clear pink finials. And one of the really lovely things about this collection is that every single one of them has something special on the nib. So this one has a cherry blossom. I love it. I personally got a fine nib in all four of these pens. And these are the Pro Gear size too. So these are a little bit larger than the Pro Gear Slims, but not as large as Sailor's King of Pens. So they're kind of a mid-range. They're a little bit closer in size to some other pen brands. We'll do a few comparisons later. So this was the Kubozakura. This was the spring one, and this was the very first one that they brought back, and I believe this one had no changes from the original. It looks the same, and I'm actually really glad about this. I think this one was perfect as is. The second one that they brought back, but that had changes, was this one. So this one is so bright and fun. This one is called Jellyfish Aquarium, and it is a bright like aqua blue. And the original release, the entire pen was the exact same color and material. The finials were not different. So this one, I think the body color was slightly brighter, and the finials have this kind of like clear turquoise. And I actually really prefer the re-release to the original, so I am so glad that they made that change. I also really like the silver detailing on this pen, on the hardware. And I think this is my absolute favorite as far as the nib design. It has the cutest little jellyfish etched on the nib. I love it. the third one that they brought back, and it was actually the last one that I purchased, is Ginzan Snow Gray. And this one I think had very few changes from the original, just like Kubozakura. But this one, I think the color of the body might be just a tiny, tiny bit different. But it is a very blue-gray color with clear gray finials. And I'm not really into gray pens normally, but this one is a little bit special. The color of it is just blue enough. It is like nothing else in my collection. And I actually really enjoy this in person. I think it's one that I was on the fence about more than all the others. The other three, I knew I wanted them. This one, I just wasn't sure, but I kept seeing more and more photos of it online. And I decided in the end to just jump for it. It was around Christmas time when I finally bought it. I had a little extra money from gifts, and I reached out to a third-party seller from Japan and managed to get this, and I am so glad that I did. The nib design on this one, let's see if I can get that to focus, is a lantern. It's like a double-sided lantern. There we go. And I'm going to do a writing sample with this soon, but there were a few really beautiful inks that I have that didn't really go in any of my other pens. Not that you have to be matchy-matchy all the time, that match with this, and I was so excited about it. And then the final one, this is, I called all of these my Grail pens because the whole collection was like my Grail, something I didn't think I'd be able to acquire, but that I really, really wanted. But the one that I wanted the absolute most was one that took forever to come out. It didn't finally get re-released until I think fairly close to Christmas. It was the end of the year in 2025. And I jumped on this so fast. Literally the moment I saw it, I reached out to Good Pen Life on Instagram. She is one of the resellers that I've used a couple of times. Really, really great to work with, by the way. I've used a few different people. I think I used Izumi pens for the first one, and I believe all three of the rest of these were from Good Pen Life. And both of those companies are really great to work with. If you need anything that's a Japanese exclusive like these are, they don't sell these in the United States, which is one of the reasons they were a little more difficult to acquire. But there are some really great people that you can work with who do purchase those pens or other stationery items in Japan and then can send them to you. So this was Juhyo Amethyst. I think the original release was called Amethyst Rime on Trees. And this is the one I think they changed the most from the original. So the original, just like with Jellyfish Aquarium, had a solid colored body and finials. It was all purple, no translucent finial. So this one, they did change that. You have those beautiful translucent finials, which I love that all four of them do. I think it just makes it a more cohesive collection. And like Kubozakura, it has the rose gold detailing in the hardware. And this is my second favorite nib, although the cherry blossom also comes close. But this has the prettiest little snowflakes. My camera does not want to focus. There we go. And the original release also had snowflakes on the nib, but they did change the snowflake design slightly for the re-release, and I thought that was kind of a special thing to do. I like that they changed it just slightly. Taking a small detail like that and making it very special. So I was so excited when this one did finally come back. So I want to really quickly just give a writing sample of each one of these and show you the inks that I decided to initially ink these up with. I'm sure I will change them many times, but I do have some initial ink pairings in each of these right now. So I will start, I'll go in the same order that I acquired these. So first with Kubozakura, I chose to fill it with a color that I think matches these finials pretty perfectly. This is Wearing Ghoul's Dizzy Scent of Mewa. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is a very pale but vibrant pink. There's no shimmer in it. And I think this is just a really lovely combination. So, like I said, these are all fine nibs. I love that you get that gorgeous sailor feedback here. Now I've had this one inked up with this ink actually since I got it, which has been pretty close to a year now. I got this last spring. And I am still loving this so much. I have not been able to bring myself to re-ink it with something else. I have enough pink pens that I feel like I can keep this in here for a little while longer. But yeah, still really loving this combination. And I think I actually changed my mind. I think I'm going to go ahead and do our purple next. So this one I have inked up with actually another Wearing Ghoul ink. This is one that I did for one of my for February actually. It's A Dream Within a Dream, part of their Edgar Allan Poe collection. And it's one that I included in my February palette. So you can check that out if you haven't seen it. And this one does have shimmer. I probably should have agitated the pen a little first. But this one has been a really nice match to the pen. And at least so far, it's actually, I'm glad I didn't have a hard start with this. I've had this inked up for about a month with this ink, and I don't think I've written with it in the last week. So it is handling the shimmer very, very well. And I know so many people say that you can't use shimmer inks or shouldn't use them with finer nibs, and I have not found that to be the case. A pen's feed has much more to do with how well it can handle shimmer than the actual nib size. Of course, if you have a smaller nib, you're not going to get as much shimmer showing in the line than you would if you had like a medium or a broad nib. But you can still use extra fine and fine nib pens with shimmer inks. They are a little higher maintenance. To me, it's worth it most of the time. I'm trying to talk and write at the same time. And the paper that I have on top here is Tomoe River paper. This is 52 GSM. So pretty. I am such a sucker for purples. Okay, next I want to do Jellyfish Aquarium. This is another non-shimmer ink. This was actually the closest. I have so many inks. And I found a few that were pretty close, but Rainwater by IWI, which I think stands for Ink Writing Institute, this is I think, perfect match for this pen. And so far, I have been absolutely loving this combination. I actually started it with a different ink. I think I put in Jacques Urban's Diablo Menthe, and it was a nice match, but this one, there's something about it. It's just that little bit better for this particular pen. I think it matches the finials perfectly. So vibrant and pretty. And I really love that they do like these seasonal pens and inks. This really, really does make me think of summer. Now, all four of these pens wrote really well straight out of the box, but I think I'm actually going to try to attend my first pen show this year. I live in South Florida, so I am considering either the Miami Pen Show and or the Orlando Pen Show. I think the Orlando Pen Show is a little bit bigger, so I might prioritize that or go to both. I'm not sure. And I was thinking about taking these four and getting them tuned and smoothed just a little bit. They write really well, but because these are like the babies of my collection, I love them so, so much. Just considering taking them to a Nibmeister and getting them, I don't know, I guess just tuned and smoothed a little bit so that they are like the best writers in my collection. Right now, the best writers in my collection are actually the Sailor Rain series. I have 3 of them. They were also seasonal, so I think I have all but the dark purple one, and it's not necessarily a completely fair comparison because those pens are a higher gold content for the nib. They're 24 karat gold, I think, whereas these I'm pretty sure are 18 karat. So not an entirely fair comparison, but if I could have them write like those or even better, maybe. I don't know if you could get better than those, but I would love for these to be the best writers in my collection. Right now they're very good, but they're not the best. Okay, so this last one, again, Ginzan Snow Gray. This is the one that I was the most conflicted on. So glad that I bought it. I chose, there were a few that were really good matches, but I chose A Andromeda by Colorverse. And I'm really glad that I did because this is an ink I've had for a while. It's a fairly large bottle. It's 65 milliliters. And I've done swatches of it, but I've never had it in a pen. So it's really nice to actually be able to ink this up. And it is such a lovely combination. I've been loving it. Now I think of the 4, this one is probably just slightly scratchy. I think of those, this is the one that I would probably prioritize getting worked on by a nibsmith, nibmeister. I think it could benefit the most from some smoothing. There are things you can do at home if you don't have access to pen shows, and I've tried some of them myself. I'm a little nervous to do so though with my higher end pens. Some of the things that you can do, particularly for smoothing a nib, can void the warranty that you get from Sailor. I'm a little nervous to do that. Not that I think I would ever try to sell a pen back or anything, but I don't know. I have anxiety in general, and more so when it comes to my favorite pens. So some of the things you can try are using like a brown paper bag type material and just doing like figure eights and writing on it a little bit. It can help. The paper's just rough enough that it can help to smooth your nib a little bit if it's a very minor issue. There's also a very, very fine, I think it's almost like sandpaper, but it feels fairly smooth to your hand. I forget what they call it, that you can use. And you want to be very careful with that, but you do the same thing. You just do like little figure eights and S's and things like that to try and smooth it out a little bit. I have used that on some of my pens and to pretty good effect, but again, I'm just a little nervous to use it with these. And then you can also use brass shims. That's more for flossing in between the tines of your nibs, and that's really good if you're using it very lightly to get any I have a lot of animals, so if I need to get dog or cat hair or just small fibers out from between the nibs, that can be a great way to do it. If you use it just, I guess, a little bit more aggressively, you can actually, I guess, widen the space between the tines a little bit if your pen is not flowing very well. But again, I would use a lot of caution doing that to make sure that you aren't ruining your nib, that you're not doing anything that's irreversible. So use with caution. But these are what I currently have. I'll show you these inks a little closer up. But I've been so happy with these so far. And I love seeing them all together too. So these were my Grail pens. I think if we ever do get lucky enough to acquire our Grail pens, we end up getting more. I currently feel like I still have one Grail pen that I really, really want to acquire that is kind of available nowhere right now. For me, that pen is a collaboration between Poesi and Sailor, and I think it's pronounced Amabi. And it is just a stunning pen, so I am going to keep my eyes out. I think they had a re-release that was sold out in under a minute, so my chances of getting it, I'm not sure how great they are, but I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open on eBay and other reselling areas and hope that I can grab that. But I am so, so thrilled that I did get something I thought I would never be able to do, and get my entire collection of Grail pens. So I want to know, do you guys have any Grail pens? Anything that either that you have acquired or that you're hoping to someday? Whether or not you think it's attainable, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to see what everyone's Grail pens are and what you guys are wishing for. Um, until next time, I hope you guys have a great, great February, and I'll be posting more videos soon. Please keep tuned. I have another pen video coming up and a February journal flip through so you can see longer versions of the inks that I posted in my February palette. So stay tuned for all of those. Hit like and subscribe if you've liked this content and want to see more. That can help me to keep creating, and I'm really enjoying building this community with you. Until next time.